Ye dropped Bully after what would it be like 4 weeks maybe of just like losing his mind and we us thinking he's crashing out on Twitter.
Yep.
Comments for everyone called Kendrick Lamar boring. Called Drake. What do you call Drake? Like a dick rider, but respects Drake's game or whatever. Like
Some
he
backhanded shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Then he named all his 12 favorite rappers of all time. A few notable people weren't there. He called Future Wash. Obviously, the Nazi stuff and the swastika stuff is still, insane. And then in the midst of this, drops an entire album, or I guess partial parts of an album on YouTube. So, yeah, I mean, we can start wherever you want. Do you want to start on the album itself, on the visuals of the album? Like, what do you want to talk about?
we can start on the album itself.
Cool. I mean, the album to me, Bully, I mean, I don't think this is the final version of it. Like,
Mhm.
there's no way. I think in reading the comments too, I feel like this is probably the version that he couldn't get cleared for samples because there's a lot of heavy sampling on these, like I think it's like 6, 7 tracks. Right. I think it's like about 25 minutes of music, if that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like I thought it was fine. I mean, I think there's some that like are hard to listen because of the sampling. But I thought the music was fine. I mean, personally, I thought and I think he mentioned he's gonna stop using AI so aggressively. I think I think I was more distracted by the visuals. Like maybe there's some like metaphors in his son being in the ring with all these wrestlers or whatever, but it's so AI generated. Like
Yeah.
it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like
I
it
think that's all
just
it is though. Like he literally let AI kind of decide what the metaphor, or, you know, overarching theme is that we have to like uncover.
and like for me that's like, bro, if that's what we're doing now, like I don't want to do it. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to do it.
Well, that's the thing too, is I had a hard time. So I really liked the first song. Was it Preacher's Son or something? Like that to me is quintessential Kanye and like exactly what I think most people would want from him. But everything else was
Almost some
hard to
like
listen
Jesus
to. And
King like kind of
yeah,
production
yeah.
quality. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But now it's hard to like take that shit seriously when he's crashing out, saying evil stuff, threatening kids, and or not even threatening kids, but talking down on people's kids.
Oh, the
So I'm like,
Beyonce and Jay-Z thing?
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't understand. To me, it just seems like someone who is is like, okay, I'm in a simulation. Let me see how far I can push everything to the limit and say shit that I don't even necessarily believe, but know is gonna piss people off. And but then the music, he'll be like serious and talk about, wanting to be a changed man, or like,
Be a better
I wish
father.
like all this stuff that has nothing to do with the shit he's tweeting out or doing in public.
At all.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
shitting on the people that are making his recent music good and fun.
Yeah, I think he had a couple bars for Ty Dolla $ign, right? Or like a couple
Yeah.
comments. It was just
Basically,
like,
like, took credit for, like, making him better, kinda.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Like,
what it was.
unwashed him or some shit.
Yeah. Did he shit it on Tyler too, which was crazy.
Oh, I didn't catch that one. What'd he
Yeah, he
say?
shit on Tyler. He was like, "This is a great example of how you can become famous, but never have one catchy song or good music, and yet you have like certain amount of Grammys or some shit." Like, but then again, it sucks because I know, like, I think it's crazy for certain people who he's talking shit about because either he was their mentor or like they
Yeah.
looked up to him in a huge way.
Right.
So like to have that guy just completely shit on you, it is just like, bro, what's going on? Like, I'm sure
Right.
I think Playboy Cardi like obviously laughing it off, or not obviously, maybe to the public, but I'm sure even dude, he's like a 28-year-old kid. Like, that has to feel weird where like you had this whole moment with this dude on stage like a year and a half ago at Rolling Loud, and
Mhm.
like you're probably thinking this is gonna be like the alignment you need to take your career to the next level. And then he's like, why the fuck was it on the album? You fucking like, like all this shit.
Right. And I know people for the longest time, including myself, kinda gave Drake flack for wanting so desperately to be the number one guy, but it's beginning to seem like Kanye can't let anybody have the spotlight. Like one day he's trying to be their friend, and then the next it's like, oh, you ain't shit. I'm better than you. You only accomplished this much, and it just seems like he's desperate to. Like whoever's getting attention, he's the jealous one in the corner who wants it and is willing to do whatever to get it. But now
But
people
which is
seemingly for the first time don't give a fuck.
yeah, but dude, what's crazy is that I mean, dude, like 5 weeks ago at the Grammys, like we were giving a fuck about him,
Uh-huh.
right? And everything was fine. Like you were like, yo, good for him. He's previewing music, Vultures 3, Bully on the way. And then whatever happened just happened. And like it's not even worth the exercise, I think, to like even try to figure out the why behind this and then
Yeah.
just like let it be. Like, bro, this is what it is. But like, and say we were to let it be, are we actually able then to truly enjoy the music though? Is where I struggle. Because at least this was like a YouTube clip essentially that I could
Mhm.
just play when I want and walk away, right? But like, if this when an album that he drops at some point this year is available on DSPs, are we gonna just bump this shit? You know, and like
I mean, we
move
said that
on?
we Vultures won. Remember we had a pretty
Yeah, bro,
lengthy
but it
back and
wasn't
forth.
swastikas
Yeah.
and everything else. Like that
Right.
was just like a kind of like alluding. I
Yep.
mean, maybe at the I'm sure I know what you're talking about. I know at the time it felt crazy, but bro, that was nothing compared to what the fuck he's doing right now.
Right. And that's why I think everyone it proves that everyone has their um their bar for what or their threshold for what crossing the line is. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
at the time it just seemed like he was trying to ruffle feathers and maybe had a
Oh,
personal
that was
issue
like
with
the
one or two
Jews
people.
run the industry, right? That's
Yeah,
what it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right. And I think I mean if we're being brutally honest, like that's kind of just been a a theory and kind of
a theory that everyone pretty much accepted but never spoke about. Like an
right, right.
unspoken thing of like, yeah, yeah, that's what it was. And
Right.
then like if you do more research, you understand why
Yeah.
that demographic, blah, blah, blah. But like the way
Right.
he was saying it felt like, bro, like, are you allowed to say that in 2024? And then it
Yeah.
became like, well, don't control what I can say. And then we're like, all right, well, that makes sense. Like, why are we controlling him? I think a lot of us were able to find like a rationale of like, it's not that bad kind of thing.
Right, right. Well, because it's like that statement is if you're saying Jews run the music industry, a lot of people would interpret that as a fact. I think someone even pulled up like the execs and like 80% of them were Jewish or whatever. So like objectively, if people see it as a fact, even though it has a kind of racist tone to it, they're gonna let it slide. But the minute you start advocating for people who cause genocide and all of that, that's when it gets super weird because now you're like calling for violence
Yeah.
and just being straight up hateful. You're not really expressing just frustrations anymore. So now it's entered this weird space where like I genuinely don't know what would drive someone to this point. And I don't think we've really seen it before. So it just makes
We've
me
never seen this
uncomfortable listening to
before.
his
And I don't
music.
think that's
That's it.
hyperbole. Like, dude, we've never
Yeah.
seen this before, bro. Like, this is
No.
like, there's going against the grain, and that's like maybe the Cardi route. And this is just, bro, you're on another planet. And like, we're trying to understand like what's going on. Like, this feels so different. So yeah,
Do you
I just
think he's
want,
like a
go ahead, sorry.
just like an ultra contrarian? Like you say 2 plus 2 equals 4, and then for the next fucking year, 2 plus 2 equals 3. And like he's standing on it just to see people get riled up and like have his little cult follow everything he says.
Yeah, like a flat earther or something like that he has
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know, man. I think at the core of it, yes, right? But like, I don't know, man. There's just certain things that like it doesn't make sense why this is the topic that he's trying to push with like the Nazis, the Jewish, like that part just feels like, bro, it doesn't make sense, bro. Like, yeah, that one just doesn't feel right. Like whatever you think about like that demographic, if you have Jewish friends, you don't have Jewish friends, family, blah, blah, blah. Like it just seems very hard to convince me like why you think having Yay merch with a swastika thing on the front is a good
Mhm.
idea. Like I'm
Right.
like that part is just insane to me.
Honestly, like that's I feel like that label is close as you can to being the most hated person. Like I would say pedo is probably number one, but
Yeah.
then Nazi technically like is enough for him to redeem himself in some crazy ass way, like if meets with like the head rabbi or some shit and turns into a Jew, like I guess people might fucking forgive him. But
Apologize.
yeah, so I
Oh,
feel
like
like
so?
he's
Do you
just
think?
testing the waters, like to see how far he can be hated without. Because once you go pedo, you're not coming back from that shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you're admitting to being one, so I feel like he's taking it slightly down a notch and like, oh, I just hate everyone who can call shots and like get me murdered. So let me do that and see how the people react.
So do you think that's what you think that's what it is though? Like it's whatever the next moment of him going crazy, quote unquote, but he'll never take it to the thing where like we truly, truly cancel him. Cause like
Yeah,
then he
like
tries to see if like can I turn this around again and become like dude, because like whatever the fuck he was doing 2 years ago, he then came back richer than ever. And it's
yeah.
like, how does that work, bro? Like
I don't know. I feel like it's just people like the clown show, and he knows how to manipulate us. Like he does this shit, and then we'll put out good music. So who knows? Like the finished version of Bully might people might argue is like his best album since fucking Graduation or something, and then people conveniently forget. As long as the lyrics aren't like, yeah, let's you know go to Anne Frank's hood and burn it down again or some shit.
oh man. Yeah. I mean, dude, God bless him. Again, I hope all this stuff is a gimmick and it just he proves that he's like trying to make like a fucking the greatest documentary of all time and like show us how we're the idiots or something. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to follow. But yeah, I am curious. I do think when the DSP drops and it has like 6 bangers, I do think we're gonna be in a weird spot again where it's like, well, like what he really
Yeah,
do? Like, like
yeah. But do you
oh
think it's because
man.
we're in a deficit or a drought?
I also may no, I think it's more so, bro, you can't discredit what 20 years of his career has been, bro. And it's been the number one producer overall, the number one song creator, the number like like musically he's undeniable. So we can say all these things that we're offended by and we should be, but bro, if he drops an album that really hits your phone and you can save that shit and it's like 13 tracks of like 45 minutes of like bangers, bro, you may not fucking post it to your stories, but I think you're gonna be fucking bumping that shit pretty loudly for weeks to come. And I think the numbers
Mm,
will show that.
yeah.
And what's funny, I think GQ did like a mini review of Bully, and even they had to give it a good fucking review.